Hey everybody, hey everybody. Real quick, I won't be live for too long. Um, Before we get started though, I do want to give oh, hold up, y'all. Hold up, guys. Sorry, y'all. Real quick. Sorry about that. Baby bunny called, so I gotta go. So we're gonna do a quick live, real quick. Um, And I wanted to first of all, my condolences to Little John and his family. We were reporting earlier, shortly after our report, it looks like it was his son, Nathan, who was in that pond and he was found there. So, our thoughts and prayers to Little John and his family. It's such a sad situation. I've been watching photos and stuff like that. Just nobody wants to be in a position like that. So, yeah, if you guys can keep him and his family in your prayers, it'd be great. Um, I want us to get into this Brian Entin report real quick because listen to what Brian Entin is saying, guys. Let me mute myself while we do this.
All right, guys, some new information. This is actually coming from President Trump. He is on Air Force One and he was asked about the Nancy Guthrie investigation. Okay, I'm going to read you this. Trump said, "We have some clues that I think are very strong, and I think we could have some answers coming up fairly soon." And the reporter said, "Is this a nationwide search? Is this a search going to Mexico?" And Trump said, "No, I'm not talking about a search. I'm talking about a solution. We have some things I think that will maybe come out reasonably soon from DOJ or FBI or whoever that could be." And the reporter said, "A suspect?" And Trump said, "Yeah, could be definitive." So, according to President Trump, something may be happening big behind the scenes, which would coincide with what we're seeing out here at the scene. Because, as I told you, they've moved everybody back. The FBI is back on the scene, and they're doing a whole big what they called an investigation. And the FBI evidence collection team is there. And then at the same time, we found out about this second note related to Nancy Guthrie that was sent to a TV station in Tucson. So a lot going on, but really interesting to hear those new comments from President Trump. All right, guys, some new information. This is actually coming from President Trump. He is on Air Force One and he was asked about the Nancy Guthrie investigation. Okay, I'm going to read you this. Trump said, "We have some clues that I think are very strong, and I think we could have some answers coming up fairly soon." And the reporter said, "Is this a nationwide search? Is this a search going to Mexico?" And Trump said, "No, I'm not talking about a search. I'm talking about a solution. We have some things I think that will maybe come out reasonably soon from DOJ or FBI or whoever that could be." And the reporter said, "A suspect?" And Trump said, "Yeah, could be definitive." So, according to President Trump, something may be happening big behind the scenes, which would coincide with what we're seeing out here at the scene. Because, as I told you, they've moved everybody back. The FBI is back on the scene, and they're doing a whole big what they called an investigation. And the FBI evidence collection team is there. And then at the same time, we found out about this second note related to Nancy Guthrie that was sent to a TV station in Tucson. So a lot going on, but really interesting to hear those new comments from President Trump.
Okay, sorry, I had to play it again. So there's been a lot of activity going on in the home. People have had to like be out of the area. For those that don't know, I saw that there was like a posting. Now I wouldn't say that it was like I guess they have a HOA, right? Like a homeowners association thing. And There was a posting that I was attached to that I was like, this is interesting. So they made everybody, here it is, Catalina Foothills Association. So, greetings, CFA homeowners. We received notification from the sheriff's department, and this is dated today, that they and the FBI are resuming searches on property in the area starting immediately. They will most likely be searching property west of Campbell and request we contact our CFA residents for awareness. Thank you for your support of this effort. A note from our president: our community is deeply shaken and heartbroken by the disappearance and reported abduction of our neighbor and friend Nancy Guthrie. Many of you known and have been friends with Nancy for many years. Our hearts go out to her family. I know we will stand together in our collective disbelief and sadness, and greatly appreciate your willingness to speak with law enforcement, share camera images, allow searches of your property. Some of you have spoken with the media. We appreciate you keeping this story in front of those who may have tips to share. Tom Pugh has graciously agreed to speak on behalf of the Catalina Foothills Association for inquiries coming through for the CFA, as there have been many. The CFA does not have any information beyond what is already shared by the Sheriff's Department in its media update, but will fully cooperate upon, if called upon, for the assistance. So, is a lot of different things happening. We just started, y'all, and I was coming in and out. Greatest investigator. Y'all are crazy. Y'all are really going in these comments. So the FBI have been on rooftops. They've been everywhere. You said the NBC LA is reporting that they're investigating vehicles of interest at a Circle K. I think that they're closing in. We had a second, geez, a second letter. And apparently it was also received by another a news station. And what Brian Entin said was that there wasn't anything as far as signs of life in this, anything that was turned in other than a letter. So, I mean, you have to kind of wonder how are things going? Yeah, sorry. Just had to distract baby bunny. You said there are 3 ransom letters total so far. I think so. That's what they've said. You said they took something, maybe a camera from the roof, detached it from the roof. I don't know, man. There's just so much going on. There was a camera on the roof. Wow. Can we please start towards how much our president seems to be involved in this? I mean, what do you want me to say about that? I don't know. You said SE was showing Harvey and what he was doing. Harvey has been scared crapless and he's showing a map. What is that all about? That's what I want to know. What is that all about? The purpose trying to distract from the ransom. Ooh, you said the nappers have to know they aren't going to get anywhere without some proof of life. Well, that's what I'm saying is that they can send all kinds of things and requests, but if there's no proof of life, where are we going to go? That's right. No proof of life provided. Photos of the busted flood lights came out. I saw that too. Oh man. So drone footage that we have out there. Okay. Other than that, it's like, okay, well then the association is cooperating. It's definitely dark around this time. It's what, 7:24, 25 over there in Arizona. I don't know what else.
At Nancy Guthrie's home after police say another note was sent. You see some of the activity on the screen right now. We're not quite sure the purpose of that ladder or whether something was said in a communication indicating that something could be in a different part of the house that they cannot reach. That would help them verify whether Nancy Guthrie is actually in their custody right now. We're going to go back, I believe, to Jonathan Hunt, who is monitoring this situation with the ladder. Is Jonathan with us? Yes, there you go, Jonathan. Sorry, Jonathan.
Yeah, Laura,
no
I've
one's
got
telling me
you.
whether you're there or not, Jonathan. I just want to make sure you're there.
This
Go
is
ahead, my friend.
crazy.
I'm here and I
So
got you, Laura. And just off.
let me stop right here. I mean, they've been searching. I got Arizona local news here. Hold up.
What happens in this investigation?
Let's see.
Pima County Sheriff's Department needs to do in these coming days, and I'm certain they're doing this, but what for our public viewership standpoint, what is likely happening and what they need to do behind the scenes is they need to figure out if these notes are even legit. And I think until we get to that point, that's kind of a priority in this, because if they are legit, they need to be paying close attention to the details that are in these notes to try to find any clues as to where they could possibly locate Nancy.
I don't know. It seems to me that at this point, are we really questioning if they're legit? I mean, the person, it was easy to find the person that faked it. By the way, that guy made bail. So that's interesting. He made bail. Okay. We're still trying to figure out if these other notes are legit. Isn't somebody already working on that? I don't know.
Agent in charge about this yesterday. He said, because my question was, how do you deem whether these are credible? Like, at what point do you stop and say, these aren't true, these aren't factual, these aren't credible? And he said they're working off of those deadlines. We know this new note today did not have an additional ransom deadline. It had no proof of life, and it had no way for the Guthrie family to communicate with the sender. So they have to still be operating off of those two deadlines in the first note as well. 5 p.m. yesterday, that's done. Monday, we now need to find out. We don't know exactly what time that deadline is, but assumably, if that passes and there's no other contact with the sender, and there's no additional details as to where Nancy Guthrie is, then they have to then determine if these are legit or not and where they go next in the investigation. I believe that they are searching for more evidence as well. I mean, we can tell they're back at that house. They are combing through that multiple different days after they had processed that scene and told us they were done with it. So clearly they're still looking for a lot of other evidence that could particularly lead to some other lead outside of just these notes. But I think in the next couple days, it's crucial to figure out, are these true? Are these legit? And how much credence do you put into those in terms of where you could possibly find Nancy Guthrie? I think from the media standpoint and from the public standpoint, we should learn more by Monday evening, knowing that ransom note originally had that as the second and final deadline that we know of.
I've just been trying to compare this to anything else. This is so unusual, Brianna, and the only things I can compare it to that I could think of is the case in Phoenix, the two young high school students who were killed while they were camping up toward Payson last year. That was a mystery for so long, and eventually some cell phone technology and witness interviews led to the suspect there. And Brianna, the other case I could think of is Elizabeth Smart, who I know you recently interviewed, and she.
Let me put this on mute real quick. I just got a very interesting email, and it says, and I'm going to keep the person anonymous, so I'm not going to say their name. But they said, "Hey, Rabbit, my mom is a retired ICU nurse who worked mostly with heart patients. Send me something compelling." This is what she had to say. Thinking about the pacemaker went dark probably because it sent her info to her phone, which then sent it to the cloud. I heard the phone was still in her house, so moving away from the phone is the issue. Pacemakers have a 10-year battery life. It's not going to stop even after death. Had the kidnappers taken her phone, investigators would know if she were alive or dead. If she were dead, the pacemaker would indicate that it could no longer capture her heart. Had they taken her phone, this would have been a fascinating new way of knowing if her kidnappers had already K'd her, and they truly are holding her for money. What the pacemaker info might tell them, when was she abducted? You'd expect to see a sharp rise in her heart rate due to her fear. If the blood on the front walkway is from her head wound, i.e. they knocked her out on the floor or at home, the heart rate may fall before she was moved from the phone. If conscious, her rate would remain high until she was out of the door. If murmur in the house, the pacemaker would send the message it is no longer capturing her heart. It only takes a snapshot of changes in rate or rhythm. This is from her 40 years working with heart patients, and I thought you might find it interesting. She if okay, let me put this out here because this is hard for me to say, okay, but I have to say this. I don't think that, in my opinion, I don't think she died at home, and I don't even think we that's not what we're looking at right now. So it's kind of like, yeah, that pacemaker, we just don't know because it's not there. We have no way of knowing. So this is an interesting email. Thank you to the person who sent it to me. I'll keep you anonymous. Thank you. You said, why did Nancy need an Uber? Why did Nancy need to Uber Annie for dinner, but Annie ended up dropping her off? It's a great question. That is a great question, and yet we don't know. You said the largest gem and crystal show in Tucson. Hold up, y'all, because that was live and it's not live anymore. And we're gonna go back to home. Excuse me. That was live and it's not live anymore. All right. So you said the largest gem and crystal show in the world happens right now in Tucson, 14 miles from my house. Every country in show. So that is this month? This week? Venus Blue, thank you so much for the $5. That is this week, right? The largest gem show? That's interesting. So there's a lot of activity going on in Tucson. Let's see. I heard the son-in-law dropped her off and not Annie, but nobody seems to know what is actually legit and what isn't. Well, what I'm going to say this is that people are speculating different things. So it's kind of like, I'm going to take what law enforcement is saying as legit until otherwise, right? I think that's all we can do. You said a lot is going on in Arizona this week. The huge golf open in Scottsdale right now. That is interesting. You said for everyone, Rabbit, they could have just been busy preparing dinner and put her in an Uber. That's right. They could have just put her in the Uber. It makes you wonder, and like I said, depending on who the kidnappers are, did they know that she had a pacemaker? I don't know. These are things that I kind of makes you wonder. I don't know. But what we can't say is that, based on what Brian Entin said, is they're likely looking at someone already. Okay, they're likely going to make an announcement of that. Okay, and premeditated, all of that. That's what it's looking like at this point. And they're going back to the area where they were looking at before. Let's get into this. FBI agent speaks.
Gobsmacked at how quickly the crime scene was released. This isn't a house where you've got a bunch of young children. They need to get back to their lives and that stuff. I don't understand that. Now, it's easy for me to sit here looking at the house in my comfortable couch and say, well, law enforcement should be doing this or not doing that. But in this instance, this is the third, fourth, or fifth time they've had to go back to that house. It's a 3,100 square foot house. That is a crime scene. There's still dried blood spatter material on the front porch. I'm shocked by that. Now, this new note, I'm learning about it, obviously, as we are right now in News Nation. And could this be some type of proof of life? Of course. But here, lastly, this is what boggles the mind. These abductors are doing everything that kidnappers don't do. They're going through the media. They're not back channeling to the family. And that's what makes this odd.
James, hang there. Brian, let's bring Brian in as well. To James's point about how quickly they released the crime scene there, or how close that they were able to bring you in, or how close they were able to let you get there. Did that surprise you at all, now that they've pushed you back?
Yes, I mean, it surprised me that they released the crime scene so quickly. Remember, we were able to walk up to the front steps and see the blood for ourselves just a couple of days after Nancy went missing.
I was
then
shocked,
when they came
Brian,
back and created another crime scene.
Yeah, you've done this long enough. When you were able to do that, I was shocked that you were able to get that close.
Yeah, I mean, they opened everything back up. I'm surprised it hasn't been like this for the last week. I mean, you know how it is when you cover big cases and there's ongoing investigations and crimes, they keep the media back. We've been set up right in front of the house for days, and it hasn't seemed to be a problem. But now, for whatever reason, and I don't think this has to do with the media. I saw the FBI coming in. I saw the FBI trucks. I think they're moving us out now because they're trying to make room for these FBI resources to come in, and they don't want the media right there in front of the house, right in front of the driveway anymore. Something is and they told me this is for investigative reasons. Something is happening right now with the investigation behind the scenes that is causing the FBI to go back to the house.
Yeah, this is from the sheriff's department. I'm looking down. It's just hit my phone. Detectives continue to conduct follow-up at the home and in the surrounding neighborhood. The roadway in front of the home is currently restricted to provide investigators the space needed to complete their work.
Ooh.
As Brian and James have been talking about. James, so, and Brian, stay with me here. So it's 4:07 out there in Tucson tonight, and there's clearly been some sort of
that was 2 hours ago. Okay. So they send out that like HOA notice for everybody to clear out the area and basically be ready and whatnot. And then here we are. Maybe. And then they had the dogs out there too. So they re-brought the dogs in there. Maybe they didn't get too far, if that makes sense. Because they're looking back at the property all over again. I just, like, this is the third, fourth time at this point. Third or fourth time. If that was the case, why didn't they just block the whole property, just allow people to come in and out of it? They might as well have like blocked the whole thing. I mean, I don't know. Is it just me? It seems like they keep going in back and forth. This is like the third or fourth time. Now you got the FBI going in there. You said she's in someone's outhouse, you think? Oh my gosh. Probably already had to arrange to have her meds or what she needed. Oh my gosh. You said, I was also wondering why they weren't searching the desert area around. Well, they did though. They did see it. I remember when they first did the press conference, they had this whole thing mapped out. So in my mind, I'm like, wait a minute. So the dog didn't pick up a scent. All I can think about, well, if the dog didn't pick up a scent, is probably because she was taken in a car, and that's where like the scent was lost, right? So yeah, none of this makes sense, but they keep coming back to the property or in the surrounding area of the property. Did she not get too far? Yeah, again though. Again. All over. And news getting notes would not post it all out there in the open. It's messy on both sides. I think the FBI is just trying to throw everybody up. Well, I think that the FBI is probably trying to redo all of this and post everything together. You know what I mean? Like trying to figure it out. You said, hold up, nobody's there. The dogs didn't pick up a scent. So the dogs didn't pick up a scent or anything. Well, we know that the dogs didn't pick up anything, but they did bring the dogs back. You said the dogs, not the same as cadaver dogs. Gotcha. No one find the other. So it wasn't cadaver dogs, it was just regular dogs? I guess they are. There's search dogs and then there's cadaver dogs. Two different kinds of dogs. I just assumed that they both did the same thing. You said if Annie's husband was the last one to see her alive, they have to look at him. They have to look at everybody, right, Cheeks? Everybody. I mean, that's kind of where we're at. Let's see. The crime scene is no longer secured if sealed off. Right, but is it Joe Mama? I like your name. Joe Mama, here's my question, y'all. And I did ask this the last time too. Okay. If the crime scene is no longer secure, people can come and go. Fine, cool. But why do they keep going to the crime scene? That's the question that I have. Like, why do they keep going back to the same spot? You said they found a new camera. That's what I want to know. Oh, stop it. Let me, thank you. Seems like the abductors keep dropping breadcrumbs. It's a mess, right? I don't even know if this is just a waiting game until they have solid evidence and a connection to Nancy. Well, what I do know is the FBI is going up there. They're going in the roof. On the roof. Maybe for the new camera. Maybe there was something that was broken there they didn't get. You know what I mean? Something happened there. I don't know, man. That's right. On the roof, they found that drone footage. Why are they looking on the roof? They found a camera that was that. You said they found a camera that was that camera not there before? That's a great question. Like, did they not see this camera before? We only heard of two in that press conference. You said that crime scene has to be incredibly compromised. At this point, is what I'm saying is like, wait a minute. It went from secure to unsecure to back to secure. What the heck is going on? Why do we keep securing and unsecuring and then going back to this? This makes no sense, but let me keep playing this.
Reason, as Brian has described, James, for the FBI to go back in, or at least at this moment. What happens from here? What do you believe happens from here, James?
So let's unpack this as far as what the FBI's role is. Number one, law enforcement and the FBI will never tell a family that has a family member abducted or kidnapped what to do. We are merely in an advisory capacity. Number two, we provide resources. What are those resources? Well, as of yesterday, the Critical Incident Response Group has been moved in. Now, I was once a member of that unit. What does that unit contain? It contains a capital HELA program. It contains behavioral.
Let me stop right here. So we have Trump weighs in the Savannah Guthrie case. So this is what Brian Entin said. Now I think this is his direct voice speaking on it. Okay. Listen to what Trump had to say. Let's go.
Got it very strong, and I think we could have some answers coming up fairly soon.
Is this a nationwide search? Is this a search going to Mexico?
I'm talking about a search. I'm talking about a solution. We have some things I think that will maybe come out reasonably soon from DOJ or FBI or whoever that could be could be definitive.
Chris, the one thing I've learned from covering Donald Trump for the past 10 years is he pretty much says what he knows or what's on his mind. Decipher that. What has he been briefed on that would allow him to say that?
He's likely been briefed on the impetus behind this new activity at the search location. Yeah. He's also
what was the solution statement? I'm so confused by that. A solution, a suspect? What are we talking about?
Probably been briefed on information that's come out of the interviews. The first 48 hours in these situations, and I've done dozens, if not hundreds of these types of cases, is the critical point of conducting those interviews and gathering the initial information, not just from people in the surrounding area, not just from friends and neighbors, but from the relatives, the individuals that had the last contact with her. And then you're going to want to go back and re-interview those individuals. The longer that this goes on, though, the problem you have with the interviews is that people that have gaps in their memories, or they just tend to incorporate what they're hearing on the news and from other individuals.
Right, it's hard to.
Why didn't they think about looking at the roof before? What made them look at the roof now? Why didn't they look at the roof before? Man, that roof is huge.
That makes sense. It's really hard to decipher 6 days later what you heard on TV and what you actually remember. Brian, I keep coming back to this, and I think about if there is a trial for whoever kidnapped Nancy Guthrie, and we hope she's brought back alive, but if she's not, who was involved in her murder, if that is where this goes, it would be so easy to attack all of the police work. And yet again, we see the police dropping the crime scene tape, letting the media surround the house again, now for the second time, and then rush back and shut everything down. Are you hearing from your sources or law enforcement you've talked to, especially federal law enforcement, why things seem to be starting and stopping in this very haphazard way?
Okay. So this reporter said exactly what I was thinking too. Like you can walk in, secure, not secure, secure, not secure. You said just like that didn't secure the area. It's crazy. Well, it was secured until it wasn't. Nobody knew about so when did they find out about the other cameras? The boss bitch, when did they find out about the other cameras? That's the question that I have. When did they decide, like, all right, we go and look at the other cameras? You said, yeah, so did the kidnappers, who put the camera? I mean, they were there, and those are not in a subscription? Yeah, especially if you're dealing with the family of celebrity. You would think that LE would be meticulous with their investigation from the beginning, and this is just so soft. Well, yeah, it's giving that, but there were her cameras. Right? Maybe the letter referenced those cameras. There you go. Maybe it did. Maybe the letter referenced those cameras. You said neighbors told them about. See, we don't even know, man. I hope we get some details about this at some point. Because, so are those cameras on? Are they running the whole time? Are they not a paid subscription? I have questions about that. I really, really do. Keep playing.
In the beginning, and they are the ones who went in, investigated, had a crime scene, and then very quickly took the crime scene tape down. And I would imagine, that the FBI, now that they seem to be in charge, they're probably not happy that it went down that way, because we saw them come back earlier this week and create a crime scene and then take it down. And now here they are again, where they've closed the whole block down. Wouldn't it have just made sense to keep the crime scene tape up all week long. And we've seen that happen in other cases all over the country.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our News Nation app right now on your...
Shut up, Cuomo. Listen, that just makes, I don't know, man, something's completely off and weird about this whole situation, y'all, and I can't even really understand or put my finger on it. Like, it literally, I don't get it. Some may write about this. That's what it seems like. The third letter, I think it's the third letter, right? Something ain't right. And we're going back, we're securing and unsecuring, we're acting like everything's cool, like that we didn't have a whole situationship. I don't know. You said, well, maybe it's because we just don't have enough answers at this point that I'm just like, is anybody making sense of this? Because I certainly am not. Oh, Lord have mercy. Brian Entin says, tow truck just arrived at Nancy Guthrie's. They are keeping me back at the end of the block, but I'll see what is happening when it pulls out. A tow truck. Oh, that was 56 seconds ago. A tow truck. Yeah, but it was already seized though. I thought that car was already seized. The nephew, or excuse me, not the nephew, the son-in-law. Whose car are they going to take? I totally could be an additional information to the new letter. Yeah, and which made them look at the roof, right? That's all I can think of. I have been thinking from the beginning that the call is coming from the inside of the house. Ooh, Jenna. I don't know how else to describe it. Well, they won't confirm with us, right? They're not going to confirm with us. I'm like, come on, Brian Entin. Brian Entin's on the scene, y'all. Literally said, look at 4.2K views on his Twitter. Tow truck just arrived at Nancy Guthrie's. Well, let me see what else is being said here. The New York Post is also providing live updates, but honestly, it's like 39 minutes ago, okay, they made they made reference to Trump's statements. 3 hours ago, Arizona authorities looking for a car possibly connected to Nancy Guthrie's disappearance. So authorities in Arizona are looking for a car that may be connected. Is this the van that people are talking about? Law enforcement received a tip regarding a vehicle of interest and visited a Circle K. Somebody said something about the Circle K store in Oracle Road in Tucson as part of their investigation. A spokesperson for the convenience store chain told NBC News, our team has provided them access to the store surveillance video. The Circle K spokesperson added, officials haven't specified if the vehicle has a known connection to Nancy's suspected abduction or if the lead is still relevant. One of Nancy's neighbors told the Post on Wednesday that he reported the sighting of an unmarked white van loitering on their street a few days ago before she vanished. Okay, so that was a 3-hour tip that was provided to the New York Post. Now, let's see, what else do we have here? I'm trying to see what is the latest that we have. I mean, other than Trump's statement, which NBC News, man, this is so like, I feel like I'm covering the Diddy trial all over again, all these updates and stuff like that. Every network has live updates at this point. Live updates. Officials say they're investigating new message regarding Guthrie. I did say that Derek did make bail, right? Like, he was released. He appeared in the Central District Court of California today and was granted release on conditions of a $20,000 surety bond. I think they should have left his ass sitting there for a while. I'm just saying. Okay, I'm just saying, because pulling stuff like that is just ridiculous. But other than that, we don't know. And so then the FBI is out there and whatnot. You said, hold up, let me try to catch up on the comments. Another car arrives, according to Entin. Well, Entin just said that there was a tow truck. So what do you mean another car arrives? Let's see. Huh. I'm on the latest tweet. Let me shout out Mel N. Thank you so much for becoming a member, Mel. Thank you for supporting the channel, guys. Make sure you guys are hitting that like button and hyping the video. I don't ever say that enough. I need to say it more. Just so I remind people. Thank you, guys. It's a good way to support the channel. You said, I forgot to ask. I chat, however, the Uber was used for Nancy to go to her daughter's house for dinner. That's my understanding. Did he? Okay, Mr. All right. So I'm going to go be nosy. Let me see what Brian Entin says. I'm sure he won't mind. He doesn't mind that I played his content. So hopefully he won't mind. I don't know. He seems like a chill guy. So he came into my comments one time and seems like a pretty cool guy. Okay, so it was a video that he posted. Was it? Oh, yes. Another note.
So much for checking out my show. Really appreciate it.
Because he's like right there. Hold up.
Don't know a ton about it, but the FBI has confirmed that there's a second note. The sheriff's office has confirmed that there's a second note, and KOLD TV, which is a local TV affiliate here in Tucson, confirms that they received the note. Their news director has said that it came in through like a form, like, you know, when you go to a website and you can fill out a form, and then it emails the company or the news agency, that's the way that it came in. And this is the new information about the second note. They say the IP address is not.
Let me stop. Yes, guys, I keep seeing the repeated comment. We did report when I started the video that Little John's son did pass away. He was identified as the individual in the large body of water that they were looking at. Please send your thoughts and prayers to Little John and his family. This is a very sad situation. This is your child. You know, you don't ever want to be in a situation where you're confronting this. So my thoughts and prayers go out. I did start the video talking about that because we were talking about Little John earlier and just wanted to make sure people were aware. So yes, I'm aware. I know people are coming in the chat and saying it over and over. I know. I just wanted you, if you watched the beginning of this video, you would know that. So letting you guys know again. Let me continue.
Same IP address as the initial note, but it appears the sender used the same type of secure server to hide their IP address. The new note contains something the senders seem to think will prove to investigators that there's the same people who sent the first note. So different IP address as the first note, but the same secure server was used to hide their IP address. And there's something in this second note that the senders think will prove to investigators that they're the same people who sent the first note. So the FBI has confirmed that they are looking into it. And remember, ultimately, it's going to be up to Savannah Guthrie and her family how to handle these things. And the FBI has made that clear. They're the ones who decide, the Guthries, how to respond to these notes if they want to pay the ransom. Remember, the first note had 2 deadlines. The first
Bitcoin high amount based on what TMZ said.
Deadline was yesterday, so Thursday at 5 p.m. And then the second deadline is Monday. And I've been trying to understand why there could be 2 deadlines, and I still don't know the answer to that. One theory that I've been thinking about and floating around with some of my FBI friends is, like, could it first deadline be for less money and the second deadline be for more money? That's a possibility. But I was over at Annie Guthrie's house earlier, and they basically said that people outside said they thought that Savannah Guthrie had actually left and Annie Guthrie had left that house and weren't there anymore, and the house was empty. So I don't know if they have found a new house where they're all staying right now, the Guthrie family. I'm not really sure.
You know what makes it really hard too is because that is the question, right? Was it Barbara? Barbara Bish says, why don't they send proof of life, right? If they wanted us, well, not us, but the family, right? That's what the family is asking, is for proof of life. Something that would substantiate that, right? Why send another note if you don't have that? So is this like a game or like what is going on? Jaded, thank you so much for your 1-month membership, love. Thank you. Shout out to you. Thank you, love, for supporting the channel. That's the question that I have, is like, what are we doing? Are we, if you're being, if that's the request, are they just going to go back and forth?
In terms of what's been happening here at Nancy Guthrie's house, it has been like totally insane over the last couple of hours. First of all, we were outside just in our spot that we always are, and the sheriff's deputies all came in and they said, everybody has got to get out right at this moment. All the media has to leave, which hasn't happened before. Of course, they did have that second crime scene they set up, but they didn't make the media leave. This time they said, we're closing off the entire area, the whole block, and everybody has to leave. And so we had to quickly pack up our stuff and go. I took a quick video when all this was happening. Take a look. So something interesting is happening outside the house. So all of these sheriff's deputies showed up, and they are now, you see down there, they are closing off the road. And they're making all the media leave this block. So we're not going to be able to be in front of the house anymore. They said this is for investigation reasons. And so we don't know what they're about to do with the house, but they don't want the media in front of the house anymore. So basically everybody out here has been told to pack up. And she's saying they need room for their investigators.
Very, very much.
Oh, you bet. Thanks for your hard work.
Thank you,
appreciate
sir.
all you do for us.
I'm sorry. Yeah, see those cones right there?
She said they need room for their investigators to do what they need to do. So something is about to happen out here from an investigative standpoint, and we're all going to have to move. But it's interesting that they had the crime scene in the beginning, they took it down. They had another crime scene, they took it down, and now they are apparently going to be doing more out here. So we had to move everybody off of the road.
I mean, that's the only thing I can think of is this some kind of psychological game for these people and whatnot. I mean, there's got to be something wrong with you to do this to an 84-year-old woman. Okay, like there's something not well. If you would go this far to take somebody's family member this way and play these kinds of games, like overall, just the idea of kidnapping anybody, period.
We had to leave. Everybody had to leave in a hurry. And as I was walking out, I looked and I could see that there were FBI vehicles arriving, dark tinted windows, evidence response vans. And then when we were able to get our drone up, we could see that there were a ton of FBI in front of the house. They set up their units in front of the house, and then they were also behind the house. And I actually saw a picture of them behind the house looking in the woods behind the house. So it's just interesting. You think about, they had the first crime scene here. And then they opened it back up. They had a second crime scene earlier this week where they put the crime scene tape up for 2 hours, opened it back up, and now here they are again. And the timing is interesting that they swarmed this area again, got everybody out, brought the FBI in right around the same time that the second note arrived at KOLD at the TV station. So the timing is really interesting. I want to show you, though, I went out with Art Del Cueto. He is a former Border Patrol agent who lives in this area. I went out with him into the brush in the area close to Nancy Guthrie's house. Just to get a feel for what it's like out there with the wildlife and with just the desert. I'm not from the desert, so I just wanted to get a feel. The other thing is he also has seen the first ransom note, so I wanted to ask what he knows about that. Here is when I went out with Art. I'm not from this area. I'm from Florida, so I don't know much about the desert.
Right.
Tell me, we're right very close to where Nancy went missing from. Show me this, like.
So we're extremely close. I want people to know that we're extremely close because I don't want them to come after you and say, "Oh, you wasn't even close."
No, we're
walking distance, right?
Yes.
We're trying to avoid all the other media.
Yes.
So we're out here to show the reality because people don't understand how bad the terrain would be for someone to easily find a person or track somebody. With the United States Border Patrol, you're taught different tracking skills, and I think that's what helps. But this is the terrain where we're used to walking through and trafficking, trying to track traffickers, human smuggling and drug smuggling. But the way this is called a wash. A lot of people don't use that terminology. And
Look at that terrain, though. And shout out to everybody that's in. Yeah, I know I got a lot of people here from Arizona. Shout out to my people from Arizona. But this terrain is something else, y'all. So if she had mobility difficulty, like I want people to kind of think about that. This would be very difficult to abduct someone like that. And then assuming that she was probably hit and, bleeding, like that. This terrain is just interesting. And what's interesting too is it's easy to hide out in these kinds of areas too. I mean, there's a lot of bushes and dead plants and alive plants and everything. It's something to kind of keep in mind. You live in that area? Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to go through it and give that perspective because people have said about the border and stuff like that.
As we walk through here, you'll see this is kind of like a trail where you know which way to walk in there. You're going to have some broken branches in this area.
Everything's like got thorns too, huh?
Everything's got thorns. And I think the difference is people hear desert landscape and they almost think that it's nothing but sand and you can see so this is basically the brush. And as you walk
it's not nothing but sand. Y'all see all that. Oh my God, Kim, how are you? Kim. Shout out to Kim. She says, I have an awful feeling about this. I don't think those ransom notes are from the real abductor. Just in my opinion, I would, man, I guess we'll see what happens. You don't think it's a ransom still? Some of you guys don't believe that the ransom is like Maybe I should do a poll and see kind of where everybody stands. Let me do that.
These are called, this is the actual wash. These are the washes. You know, we haven't walked too far, but if you go this way, and here I will show you, if it's dark out here, or even now, vehicles can go through this neighborhood and they're not going to see anybody in this area of the brush. Now, this is called the wash. When it rains, you get water through here, of course, but they're dry most of the time. So you can walk through these areas and pull up behind some of these houses.
You could drive into some of these areas.
There's some areas where you'd be able to drive. It'd be more difficult, but you could definitely drive maybe like a quad through here. There's a house right there. And if we continue walking through here, I mean, you'll see there's a house there. You probably couldn't see it when we were in the brush, but you're going through all this area. And at night, somebody that would know the terrain can walk through here and literally, you wouldn't know. Okay. And as we've walked, we're probably what 20 feet from the road, and from where we're standing, we can't see my truck anymore.
Well, so there's a house there. There's a lot of space in between the houses. Everyone keeps asking me, "Oh, people have cameras, can't they see the cars going by?" But this shows like there's all this brush.
There's no way you would be able to see. So with some of these cameras, you would not be able to see the street.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Is like when they were asking for cameras, I'm like, well, if she was taken in the middle of the night, it's already dark, desert-like, and look at all this. What is a camera going to catch exactly? Even the neighbors' cameras, what is it going to catch? And then none of your business. Thank you so much for the $5. Thanks for keeping us informed. I'm trying, y'all. This is not. I'm not here for a long time, but wanted to get on the latest because I'm like, man, I hope we find her. I hope we get maybe tonight an update or something. The Barbie. Thank you. Sylvia says Rabbit Bitcoin. Bitcoin is at 70,335 per coin right now. Really, Sylvia? Thank you so much for the super sticker, Sylvia. Bitcoin is at 70,000, and I know Sylvia knows about Bitcoin. I don't, but Sylvia has talked about Bitcoin here in the chat before. So, yeah, wow. So depending on the amount that they've asked per Bitcoin could really determine. They said it was an excessive amount, whatever that means, Sylvia. I'm kind of curious to know your thoughts on that. You have 73 cents in Bitcoin. Well, you have more than I do. Don't worry, because I don't even have a Bitcoin. You know, approximately 2021 of the top 25 most venomous snakes on Earth are found in Australia. Okay. Okay, let me hit play on this.
Here, where we are at right now, people can be walking up and down that road and they're not going to see us. Now imagine this at night when it is completely dark and there are no there's no street lights out here. There's absolutely no street lights. So that just adds to how difficult it is. And if you do have some type of ring camera and it's dark and you have this, you're really not going to get much out of it.
I told y'all.
So what is the deal? I keep hearing about this ordinance where it has
something about, look, I don't know. I don't live in a desert, but to me, the desert is so creepy at night. Shout out to everybody that lives near the desert, y'all. But maybe it's just me. The desert is a creepy place at night. Is it just me who feels that way? I don't know. Maybe because all these animals come out at night and it actually gets cold at night. Something about the desert, man. It's a creepy place at night. Maybe it's just me.
To be dark out here. What is that?
So there's an ordinance that they have in areas of Pima County and the city of Tucson against light pollution. And I think it was more to attract people that want to come and see the stars. There's the university here has an astronomy program that also helps. However, I hate to Monday morning quarterback it, and I hate to tell other law enforcement how to do their job, but I've been in law enforcement for over 2 decades in the state of Arizona. If there is an ordinance in an area that you're working some type of crime, I find it really difficult to use an excuse of I didn't bring the lights out because there's a light pollution ordinance. I would have brought those lights out here, especially knowing the terrain. I would have brought the lights out here because it helps you find out what happened. If there's a criminal in the area, it's easier to find him. And above all, you're working against the clock. So if you're working against the clock, the quicker you get resources out here, the better. I would never not use lights out here based on a city ordinance, especially if a crime has been committed.
So did they not use lights because of that?
So that's the thing, yeah. So the sheriff came out, he did an interview, and he said that, there's this particular area, there's that ordinance on light pollution, so that's why they didn't bring some lights out here.
Wow, that's kind of crazy.
Okay, so
that's what happens when you're dealing with...
Kim says, shout out to It's Kim. You said they likely gave a flat rate. For example, guessing 5 million USD, they will ask for the equivalent in Bitcoin. It's like the currency conversion. Ah, okay. Well, thank you for explaining that. You said rattlesnakes travel all hours, days or nights, when they're hungry. That's right. I'm not so much concerned about I should be concerned about rattlesnakes, but not so much. I don't like spiders. Rattlesnakes, I mean, I just don't be I don't like them, but you know, they're dangerous. The notes are a decoy to distract the police, says SPTV Foundation supporter. Okay, first of all, shout out to you, 18-month supporter. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. SPTV Foundation supporter. The notes are a decoy to distract police. You are like the 30th person that has said this that I've seen in the chat, that people feel like these notes are just a distraction and they're meant to distract people. Right? Literally. You said, I agree. I don't think the notes are because they have Nancy. I think they're really? Did you know they're related to spiders? Scorpions are? I can't do. Anyways. So that's why I don't live near a desert.
A lot of red tape sometimes, and the bureaucracy of doing the police work and everything else that comes with it. But look, I think if I'm in a leadership position with an agency and something like this occurs, I'm bringing floodlights and I'll deal with a lawsuit later.
Did you see the ransom note?
I have seen the ransom note. I have. I'm not going to get into specifics, and I don't want to get into specifics, specifically because from a law enforcement side, I understand why they're.
He saw the ransom note. What's his name again? He said it's Joe something. Maybe I'm just assuming. He saw the ransom note. He's one or two more.
They're not releasing it, why they're not getting to specifics, and I understand the urgency, and I think this is important because I've seen the letter. I think there's an urgency where if it's legit, the captors, regardless of what's in the letter, in order to show that it's valid, they need to contact law enforcement. They need to contact the family somehow, because there needs to be specific questions that only the family would know.
This is why you don't release it publicly. Didn't I say that? When TMZ first released it, I think we all said, and not just me, but y'all said it in the chat. This is why you don't talk about the ransom note. Okay? Because there's specifics. You're putting somebody's life in danger. It is not your job as a non-law enforcement person, a media entity, to put it out there. Allow that to be evaluated through law enforcement. That's a good look. This is not, but we said the same thing, but that's coming out of law enforcement right there. Okay.
In order to determine that they do have it, that it is valid, and that she is still alive.
And I don't want to ask you for specifics because I don't want to do anything to.
Right. That's
the last thing I would ever want to do. Like, what's the point in that? I want them to find Nancy. But I am curious, just based on your background, like, did you find it to feel like legit?
I think it's legit enough, but more questions should be asked of them if they're the real captors in order to verify it 100%.
Okay. And since you're from here, I'm not from here, like I said, I don't know anything about the sheriff, but just covering it this week, he's had some mixed messaging. I don't know, there's been some weird moments. He's done a lot of interviews. What is his history? I mean, he's
been a sheriff for a long time, right? Obviously, I believe he lost one election and he came back and he won an election again.
Wow.
We're where we're at right now.
People I see people different opinions about the sheriff. It is truly in these kinds of times that people start evaluating, people in these positions to see how they're doing and they're working, right? This is when people start looking at you. I have seen people that have said, I don't know about the sheriff, I don't like him. And then I've seen people have said, I really like the sheriff. I mean, everybody to each his own. To me, there's some things that I'm like, I don't know how I feel about certain aspects of him walking things back, but then also putting it out there. But then, but maybe it's just strategy. And also, it must be nerve-wracking to have to deal with the media and the masses pulling apart your every word to figure out if they can solve something that you can't. So, yeah, that's what I'm gonna say about that.
He's been in police work for a long time, but this is what I've always said, and I get criticized for it. There's a difference between having 1 year experience in law enforcement or having 20 years experience in law enforcement. And then there's guys that have 1 year experience 20 times in law enforcement. I don't want to criticize him and say he falls under that area, but when you have a crime of this nature and the world is watching us right now, and other resources are being brought in. The FBI is being brought in. I know Border Patrol has been out here and helped. I think when you see that, it's almost a skill set. You need to make sure you pick from the right skill set in order to get everything done.
I will say, I think that it's important. Probably one thing right off the bat is they probably shouldn't have opened the crime scene. Not once. Not once. Even when they cleared it. Nope. Nope. They shouldn't have opened the crime scene until they figured out what happened to her. Like, they found her, or she's been rescued, or they found other things. You know what I mean? Specifically leading to the victim. Not any time before. Leave the crime scene how it is. There was nothing. That should have not opened that up. And that's probably the biggest heavy criticism that I would give to the sheriff, for sure. Shouldn't have opened that. Nope. And it's, you know what, guys? I'm telling you right now, it's going to become a point of contention at some point. When all of this is, when this is concluded, depending, you know, on this outcome, people are going to pull this apart and say this exact same thing. Okay?
The end, it's law enforcement. We all are on the same team. We should be on the same team. And the ultimate goal is to find Nancy, bring her home safe. And at the same time, we need to find out if there's any individual out there that is the cause of this, bring him to justice and make sure that he faces true consequences.
You know all about Mexico Border Patrol. I mean, we're what, 60 miles away?
We're very, very, very close to the border. Where maybe I can get you there in just a little bit over an hour. That's also a concern, obviously, because it's been said that she doesn't have medication, but because our proximity to the border, we don't know if somebody is involved, if they would have been able to get the medication from Mexico as well.
Hold up. Brian Entin just posted. You can see they are towing away what appears to be the car that was in Nancy Guthrie's garage. So that was the tow truck.
Okay, you can see so they just towed the car. So we have this shot. Mo got this shot. And you can see, where's the tow truck? Is that SUV? Point to it right there. Point to it. Okay, you can see the SUV on it. So Mo had a closer look when it was there a second ago, and he says it's the same SUV that was in the garage, and you could tell that it was blue. Remember, Mo got this shot with his drone. So anyway, I know it's blurry, but that's the tow truck leaving. This is the scene out here right now. Everybody got moved back, and they closed the whole area off. I was showing you earlier, and FBI is still out there at Nancy Guthrie's house. We're all just kind of back here.
Okay, let's watch it again for those that missed it.
So they just towed the car. So we have this shot. Mo got this shot, and you can see. Where's the tow truck? Is that SUV? Point to it right there. Point to it. Okay, you can see the SUV on it. So Mo had a closer look when it was there a second ago, and he says it's the same SUV that was in the garage, and you could tell that it was blue. Remember, Mo got this shot with his drone. So anyway, I know it's blurry, but that's the tow truck leaving. This is the scene out here right now. Everybody got moved back, and they closed the whole area off. I was showing you earlier, and FBI is still out there at Nancy Guthrie's house. We're all just kind of back here.
Thoughts? So they're taking the car. If they really wanted to catch the suspect, they would pay for her release. That's the only way they can catch them people. If they really wanted to catch the suspect, they would pay for her release. That's the only way you can catch them people. I don't know if I agree with that statement. She didn't have her phone, then why can't they even ping? Yeah, I think that there's an issue. I think it was Sylvia who had mentioned that before. The phone or there was a watch and stuff like that. Let's see. Those are federal folks, my understanding. What happened if the ransom is someone who knows what someone did? Oh, I don't know. Let's see. I thought them towing the victim car was something basic that they would have done right away, not like 6 days ago. There you go. I'm sure that's also going to come up later on. Yo, I'm letting y'all know this is the kind of stuff that comes up. You said seizing a car requires a warrant. That's true, and warrants require evidence. The state can't just take cars on a hunch. Sometimes the reason why they don't pick up and take things is because you need a judge's signature, a warrant, all these other things, even though there's an active investigation. So yes, First Liberties podcast, that's accurate. It could just very well be an issue of a warrant, which to me, I'm like, why wouldn't they have been able to get that immediately, expeditiously? Would have been kind of the question. Okay, let's continue this, and then I'm going to see if I can refresh Brian Entin and see if anything else is posted.
Brought her in, could they bring her into Mexico?
Or bring her into Mexico, or even, I'll be honest.
Are there ways to do that though without being seen?
So there's areas obviously that are porous still within the border. Our border is more secure than it's ever been. We've all heard that, and it is true. But in Arizona, there's still porous areas where you could possibly head south, especially at nighttime. It'd be hard because you're driving through a lot of the city. That's another complex part of Tucson, is you have one major highway, which is I-10. And we're pretty far from I-10, so you'd have to drive across the city to get to that freeway, and then you'd have to get to the separate one further south to head into Mexico, unless you went off road, which this is what you'd be going through.
So I guess if she was in Mexico, they could get her the medicine she needs to stay alive pretty easily.
Honestly, if she was here, because of how close we are to Mexico, there's areas where you can purchase medicine in the United States. Even some businesses will sell it, albeit under the table, and they won't let you know that they're selling it. But there's areas where they could probably purchase it within Tucson itself.
I guess even though it's sad to think of her, if she was abducted, that's kind of a good thing in a way. I mean, if she could get the medicine.
It is. If she could get the medicine, that's a big thing. That's why it's very important that regardless of what's in that letter, the family needs those abductors, if it's legit, to communicate so they can make sure it's legitimate.
And just because you're so in the know, I mean, is there a lot, and you saw the letter, so you obviously have good connections. Is there a lot we don't know? I mean, because I keep thinking, is this letter and this whole ransom part of it just one possible?
Okay, let me see something. I just saw this, Sylvia. During a Brian Entin show, a neighbor came up asking where the police were because they had some information on people who cased the neighborhood. She had pictures to show law enforcement. As a courtesy, I went through and blurred the identities of the neighbors for security reasons. Oh, snap. Okay. Hold up. This is somebody local to the area. Hold up. Hold up, guys. I'm sorry.
Okay.
No.
Did you know something?
Well, I have pictures.
So I'm on a live stream. I don't know if you mind me just talking to you for a minute. Yeah. What's your name?
I don't want to talk.
Okay.
No, I just need to find the police. They're not here.
No, did you know something?
Well, I have pictures.
What kind of pictures?
Well, we live in this neighborhood for a period of time, and we have like casing these houses.
People casing houses?
Oh yeah, I have pictures.
Really?
I saw the tip line yesterday.
Can you show me? Do you mind?
Yeah, but not until I'll come back.
Okay, I'm right outside the front. You definitely find the police though. They're not outside the house, but I would go to the sheriff's office.
Well, no, that's a really big drive. But I'm going to go over to the other house because I know where that is.
Go over there. And there were also police just searching around the corner.
Corner where?
It gets tricky around here. Yeah, it does.
And see, that's why it's so incredibly hard to believe this is random.
Yeah.
I mean, I live in this neighborhood and I couldn't find it.
Well, why isn't there more video? But there's no cameras around here. Or if they're on the houses, they're set back.
They're around.
Are they?
Yeah, they're around. People have them, but
what the pictures you have is what kind of people
there
are?
are people who come and ask for, do you want to buy solar panels?
Oh, yeah, that kind of
windows
stuff.
washed.
Oh.
They never have equipment.
Yeah.
And then there's a real weird situation that happened a while back. So I'm gonna go.
Okay, go talk to police. Thank you. Interesting. Did you know something?
That's interesting.
So I'm on.
So like salespeople could also be disguised as people trying to break into the home and stuff like that. Okay. I'm gonna try to hurry up and finish this, guys, because I do have to go, and I wanted to do this. We've been live for a good hour and some. And I was hoping, I'm like, listen, I'm hoping that we have some breaking news on, she's been found, or, she's, I'm like, can we get there already? And then when I heard about what Trump said, I was like, well, maybe that is the next news, that there's a possible suspect.
Possibility? Are there other possibilities they're looking into?
No, it's you got to find the validity. That's what it comes down to. We need to make sure that they need to make sure that it's a valid letter. The ultimate goal is to bring Nancy home safe.
Okay. And you live in this area, right?
I live pretty near.
There's been also talk about a white van, and I saw another neighbor telling me, there's people around that like try to clean windows and seem shady. I mean, what is this neighborhood like? Have you seen shit? People aren't going to mess with you.
No, I mean, honestly, the neighborhood, it's a good neighborhood. Before I worked for the Border Patrol, I worked many years in a maximum security prison, and I would talk to the inmates, and I would find out what neighborhoods they lived in, right, just to see. And they would always say the same thing: we're not going to steal in the good neighborhood. We're not going to steal in the bad neighborhoods. We're not going to steal in our own neighborhoods. We're going to go to the good neighborhoods. So I think that is, an eye opener for a lot of individuals, that it doesn't matter what neighborhood you live in. Crime can find you, and there's
Everywhere.
evil out there that doesn't really care whether you're right wing or left wing. They just care to monopolize themselves. This is a prime example. It's a good neighborhood. People come out here because it's a good neighborhood. The houses out here are higher priced than other areas in Tucson. But
I think they are in the millions, the homes and the properties there. I think my understanding.
Here we are.
Have you had any problems?
I've never had problems.
No? Okay, that's good. Anything else that you think? I just feel like everybody's watching this story around the country. My friends who I haven't talked to in years are suddenly calling me, oh, what's the scoop? You know, I mean, it's got that sort of interest. Everybody feels terrible for Nancy, and people don't know that. I mean, you have the insight. Like, what else do you think people need to understand?
Look, I think they need to understand the area. That's a big deal. People need to understand that. Like, I came out here the first day after it had happened. I walked through all these desert areas. Like I said, there's a big wash on the other side, and I looked at different things. I would look at the vegetation. I would look at the rocks. You know, if rocks are disturbed, you know, something like that, you'd know somebody may have walked through there. So there's different areas. You look at different footprints.
I mean, literally, that's the thing is like the desert, you could tell when something's disturbed, probably more so than a forest or any other place.
You look at this, you know, if somebody brushes up against it, it might tear some of the fabric. So there's so much things that go into it to make sure what could have happened. It goes beyond, hey, check the ring cameras. Hey, ask the neighbors. There's all this that it makes it just so much more difficult to find the answers.
Were you surprised that they cleared the crime scene so quickly?
I was extremely surprised because they were there. Maybe they have collected everything. I'm not sure. Obviously, the FBI came back and they taped it up. So I don't know if the FBI said, hey, we want to have a look, or the FBI said, hey, there's something else that maybe we need to pull out of there. But I am surprised that I'm surprised that it was that they, you know, stopped and they removed the tape so soon. I'm surprised that there wasn't more lighting brought out here. You know, there's just certain things that you just got to not worry about. And I think
you said Harvey with the map. I didn't even watch Harvey. I know people were telling me to watch Harvey. I didn't listen. I'm so over. I don't know how people can like. I don't know, man. I think, you know, and I think about it's not just me. There's a lot of other YouTubers that have the same and share the same disdain with how Harvey moves, because he doesn't even have to do that. Like, he doesn't have to do the shit that he does, and he does it anyways. And so for me, it's like, it's so hard. If I have to watch something, I will, but I don't really want to.
Any ordinance, push that aside.
Crazy.
What's important is to try to find the human.
And just lastly, is the Border Patrol still helping?
I'm not sure if the Border Patrol's helping. I haven't been in contact with them recently.
Because they were helping.
I know they were out here. Yeah, they were out here with searching in this area. I know they had Borstar and they had some of their canines. And I mean, that's kind of like, I came out here the first day. I find out Borstar was here. I find out canines was here. If Borstar and Border Patrol canines are out here and they haven't been able to find anything, I would doubt that there's anything out here to find at this point. Because, like, aside from me having worked with Border Patrol, I can tell you that when it comes to tracking, when it comes to finding individuals in this type of environment, they're the #1 in the world.
Someone told me that their canines are the best.
They are the best
for tracking.
For tracking, you know, drugs, for tracking humans. Because a lot of people think, oh, well, they're trafficking drugs. No, they track. There's various different areas that they're trained in, and finding somebody that would have been lost in the desert is one of them, and obviously finding somebody that has been taken hostage.
Yeah. Anything else?
That's all I got.
Thank you, Art.
All right, bro.
Appreciate you, sir. As always, I really appreciate.
Well, shout out to Brian Entin. That was a really informative report. You know, that he brought in there. And I mean, like I said, Brian, he's on location, so he's able to bring us kind of like the real news at the moment and whatnot. I think we're on day 6 at this point with this whole situation, guys. I wanted to talk a little bit about it because I saw everything that was going on. Then when I heard, you know, what Trump was saying, I was like, oh man, maybe they do know, maybe, but then they're still out there. I'm sure they're keeping everybody informed on that side and whatnot, as news is coming about. I really want to thank everybody that supported this stream. This was supposed to be it's never a quick stream, y'all. It's never. Every time I say, right, guys, a quick stream, and then it winds up being an hour and some. Yeah, I like Brian Entin. I do. Yeah, I'm a little biased. I do like Brian Entin. I mean, I just do. I do. I think he's a cool dude from what I've seen, especially how he handles true crime and how he handles reporting. Very, very cool. From the Letitia Stout case all the way back then. Like, that's how long I've been following. But I'm going to let you guys go. Yo, we will be live tomorrow on this, as well as some other topics that we have to catch up on. But the other thing, again, keep Little John, his family, in your prayers. You know, sad news today on that, but you know, just wanted to remind everybody. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you guys are hitting the like button, supporting, sharing, hyping, doing all those good things, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye guys, have a good night.